Hi, Amy.
Hattie.
We just watched 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way, Season 7, Episode 8.
Yeah, 8. It seems strange. I feel like there's very little development going on with these couples.
It's a very slow pace this season compared
Yes.
to past seasons. And
Hmm.
I don't know if that's got to do with the fact that we're dealing with people who are not Jasmine-like, if you know what I mean. There's not
Dramatic.
mm, over the top. There's not that over the top element like there has been in some previous seasons, which I actually kind of appreciate. I like the normalcy. I like the relatability of it. And it's not irritating, to use your word.
I think
Yeah. So
that's kind of debatable about the irritating part.
I'm not worried about the pace of the season or the lack of dramatics. I felt like this episode was all about conflict. So we're seeing everybody butting heads together within families, within couples. It's all about the conflict and how that presents itself in their relationships.
Are we going to have any resolution in this season, or is it just going to be conflict and fillers?
I cannot tell the future. I wish I could. Actually, no, I don't, because then I'd spoil it for everybody who's listening. I do not know what's going to happen, but I
Neither
have
do
some
I.
theories. I have
Oh.
theories. Before we do get started, though, I would like to do the quick 1 and 2. 1, rate, review, and follow us wherever you listen to the podcast. Thank you. And number 2, watch the podcast on YouTube at Any Day Fiancé, honestly. All right, let's dig in to Manon and Anthony.
All right. So we found out that he started learning French when they first met, which I think supports my assumption that he was just speaking with an awful accent, over exaggerating the words just to irritate her.
Oh, yes, possibly. When he did go into the shop with her to buy some things, though, you know he was definitely trying there. And it has, I mean, obviously it wasn't an exaggerated accent, but his pronunciation is pretty awful. He still has a long way to go, but I do appreciate that he's putting in the effort.
I agree.
And that makes me feel like it's real. Their move to France is not a put upon idea from anybody else. This is actually real, because otherwise, why would he be bothering to do all that work?
That's very true. Yes.
Anyway, we have the main event this episode being the baptism of their son, Benjamin. And this is going to be a celebration with all of Manon's family being invited, as she puts it, just to be polite. What did you make of that?
I also wrote that down. So she invited them just to be polite, but not because she wanted them to be there. And then
Precisely.
she mentions later that, she wanted to get everyone together because it's been about 10 years and nobody else makes the effort to get together. So it was almost like a peace offering, even though she didn't use those words. But I, I don't know. I don't understand this woman.
The comment made me feel like she's just trying to accentuate how magnanimous she is. That I'm inviting the entire family. I'm so good.
And everyone is coming.
Well, the whole baptism itself is kind of interesting. I understand from Manon's perspective, everybody in France is basically Roman Catholic, so this is expected that you would do this. But what about Anthony? Does he not matter at all?
No, he does not.
He doesn't seem to have any say in what's going on. He's just going along with it.
Absolutely no say in anything. And she just bulldozes everything that he tries to say. She can't even say, I really appreciate you compromising on this and, understanding how important this is to me. It was just, I don't know. I feel bad for him. And it seemed as though when she was talking to him about it, she was talking up the anticipated conflict instead of walking into it with a positive attitude, hoping for the best, looking forward to seeing people she hasn't seen in so long, potentially mending some fences or relationships, whatever. No, she's so negative right off the bat. It's again, the self-fulfilling prophecy that, everyone hates her, and her behavior just really accentuates that.
Well, this is my feeling for the whole season, is that her perception of how things are going to go, her expectations, are actually getting in the way of her having any enjoyment, because she expects things to go badly. She expects people to attack her. She expects the worst. And then that colors her actual experience, because, well, what else could it do? It's not going to bring out the best in you, for sure.
No, and it It doesn't matter what anyone else says, she's twisting everyone's words in order to fulfill her expectations.
Exactly. Exactly. There's no way that reality can take hold and allow her to feel safe and secure enough that she can relax and not place those expectations on everybody else and herself. And I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because of feeling like she was bullied as a child because of her weight.
Just depression and childhood trauma that she hasn't worked through. Y Yeah,
Who doesn't have childhood trauma? Honestly, come on.
that's very true.
So they have the baptism. Everything seems fine during that scene. Afterwards, there's a large dinner for everybody who was there. And immediately, something is a bit off in Manon. You can tell the way that she's getting so emotional just talking to her family about the reason why she's in France and what she's doing there. Like, why would this cause you to break down?
Because she's a failure and she feels that deep inside.
Ooh, you think so?
I think yeah.
You think that's how she perceives herself as a failure?
Well, she's mentioned it several times. She
But
feels
she's
like a
also had a
failure
very she's oh, feels like a failure, yes, but, like, because she has a successful business or had, because she started from nothing, because she was embraced in her life in California, I would have thought that she has a slightly better self-image. I don't know. I don't know.
it
I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
she doesn't see her marriage and her child as a success, and I find that very sad. And they're sitting right next to her as she's crying and going on
Yeah.
about how she's a failure and how she had to move back to France. And like, can you not appreciate the things that you do have as opposed to focusing on, the fact that you don't have the big house and millions of dollars in the bank account and I don't know. Maybe the way that she's assessing herself is based on her success with work and not actually, her family, other things that matter.
Yeah, definitely. And with regards to her family, they are all so encouraging, so supportive. When she starts to get emotional in this discussion that they're having, they're reinforcing how much they love her and care about her, how great she is, how successful her life has been so far, and to not ruin that really by bringing in the negativity. So we're seeing it from all sides that Manon's biggest obstacle to happiness is herself.
Yes. Oh, you know what this baptism was? It was just one big giant pity party for
Yeah.
her.
Yeah. And I found it really interesting the way that Anthony then recognizes that this highly emotional state that Manon is in right now is not something that he wants to witness. He doesn't want to take part in it or be an object of her inevitable attack. So, with the combination of her being emotional, drinking, being tired, he's like, okay, I'm going to excuse myself, picks up the baby and takes off, which I thought was quite smart.
Very, very smart. And also, if her family is so awful, then why didn't she excuse herself with Anthony?
Yeah. Mm, there's a lot that doesn't make sense in Manon.
Yeah, I found it really uncomfortable when she was talking to Anthony about his American sausage
Oh my
in
god,
front of
that
her
was
family. And then when he was leaving that like mini makeout session, it was
uh-huh.
just so uncomfortable. How many Tito's did she have?
Oh, yeah, probably only one at that point, but it was so performative.
Mhm.
It was it was so drama-esque. There was nothing about that lingering three-part kiss that he was obviously very confused by that was natural or normal or like that was just all for theater's sake.
Yeah, I think theatrics is an excellent way to describe her behavior in this episode.
And you know how Anthony was feeling awkward and a bit self-conscious with her talking about his sausage in front of her family, and then she reassures him and says, "Oh, nobody understands because they don't speak English." The woman across the table, that was her sister, she speaks English. She knew what was being said. She'd made eye contact with them and was smiling as if to say, "I can hear you guys."
And didn't he even say your sister speaks English and she just like push?
It exactly. So, all theatrics. This is for the benefit of her audience, which is her family. Eek.
I would have asked
That's
for a refund.
That's
And
all I
who's
have to
paying for
say.
this?
Oh, yes. Who's paying? Indeed. I figured it's her parents.
Well, I would assume so, but you can't even be appreciative of that. She just has to ruin it right off the bat and cry. Was really enjoying the couple episodes, or at least the one episode that we had when she wasn't crying, so here we are back again.
Yay. Familiar territory.
Mhm.
Okay. Are we able to move on now?
Yes.
All right. Going to Chloe and Jonathan next, we start off this segment with flamingos.
Yes. I haven't seen flamingos in so long.
They were so cute. I love flamingos. All right. So now we have a very stark contrast that's being drawn for us between Chloe and Jonathan and how they, for lack of a better word, party.
Mhm.
And we see the contrast between their lifestyles and really the path that they're on, the path that they've come so far in their lives, how wildly different they are from each other. Because Jonathan is the kind of hang out with his friends. He doesn't drink alcohol and he probably does not stay out extremely late at night because he has a job. While Chloe, on the other hand, likes to go out, get smashed, drink as much as possible,
And run up the
run up
tab.
run up a huge bar bill. Oh God. And probably get into some sorts of shenanigans. I don't know. Is this good for them?
No, it further highlights the massive difference in their maturity levels,
Uh-huh.
and yet he's still the problem, and so is his friend.
Well, that was very, very interesting, wasn't it? Okay, so they're having this discussion with her friend who she went spying on that day with. And Jonathan, by the way, has been told about the spying. He took it very well, I thought.
Mhm. Very
They're also
subdued reaction.
Yeah, not much of a reaction. There's also this friend of Jonathan's at the table who Chloe doesn't like because he and Jonathan used to party together and would, I guess, pull women and do whatever they did. But like this seems like it's ancient history to me. There isn't actually a context of what the timeline is for how long ago this happened, or probably not still ongoing. But nevertheless, Chloe has a huge bug on her back. As there's a bear in your sack. What is that expression?
Bee in her
A
bonnet?
chip a chip bee on her bonnet. Yeah, that's it. It's not a chip on the shoulder. So she has a huge bee in her bonnet over Jonathan and his friend hanging out. What?
Lovely. And she calls him an enabler instead of, Johnny having control over his own actions. No. What's his name? Keener? He's the one who's the enabler. Okay. What? Again, with the trust. Nope. No trust for anyone.
No. No, she definitely cannot handle trusting a single person, and it would be interesting to know why she doesn't. But also interesting is the fact that she makes out that everybody else has a problem. You mentioned this earlier. It's everybody else's fault or their mistake. Everybody else has the problem, not Chloe. So Jonathan makes her crazy. That the problem is not her crazy responses or actions. It's that he makes her crazy. And the problem is that Jonathan's friend makes a problem for Chloe by hanging out with Jonathan. Not that Chloe is insanely jealous over these two guys having a friendship and hanging out as bros do.
And, when she goes off on Keener, she says, she stands on business. If her business is controlling aggressive insecurity.
Yes, that is her business.
Hmm. Yep. Just so uncomfortable. I can't imagine what it was like for her friend to sit there and watch her behave this way. And she was legit, like, she was going red in the face and she was raising her voice, just so unreasonable, uncomfortable.
Hmm, totally unreasonable. W- One of the things that struck me was how Chloe sees her circumstances as a gain for Jonathan, and she sees those same circumstances as a risk or a loss for her. So she's risked and lost everything because she's left all of her things behind in the States. Jonathan has gained everything because he didn't have to move. He didn't have to do anything. He just sat there and she came to him, and now she's gracing him with her incredibly graceful presence. Uh, Right. So
That was a
anyway,
struggle.
so she's sacrificed everything, which means she's justified in saying, Jonathan, you have to act the way that I want you to. I'm allowed to control you because I'm the one who's made all the concessions to you. So therefore, you owe me. It's
Yeah.
so manipulative.
I don't like it. And then going back to the spying thing, she actually says that it's helpful. How is that helpful? Because it feeds into your insecurity?
Yeah. uh, It surely does. But I think she was just referring to it as being helpful because she was making that ridiculous argument that she needed more time to adjust to Jonathan and her having stopped sharing their location. So this is like her therapy going into the tree and spying on him in person for getting
Yeah, that makes
over
sense.
like it. Oh, exactly. It makes no
The
sense
mental
whatsoever.
gymnastics that
Yeah.
this child is playing.
Well, she was a cheerleader, so
Mm. Oh, fair enough.
she's
Yeah, okay.
flexible. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm,
Well, I wouldn't say that she's flexible in her relationship.
no. Shall we
No
read on?
compromising. Okay,
Pattiya and Dylan.
day one.
First time in Australia, first time seeing where she's agreed to go live for the rest of her life. Kind of a pivotal moment.
Mm-hmm. Goes really well, doesn't it?
Which part are you thinking went well? Went well.
I None of it.
Oh, come on.
The Everything, like his house is very reflective of who he is, just very beige and empty inside.
Okay. Yes, I also had a little bit of that reaction when I saw the place. It's very white. There's no color. But then when he was started talking about how he's waiting for Pattiya to get there to buy the furniture, I was like, okay, so perhaps he is open to her putting her touch on it, which is actually quite lovely of him because she does need to feel like she's at home. And one of the ways that she could do that is by being able to decorate it as she would like to. I found that part positive between the two of them, that he's showing her
And
around
the
and
the closet space. She has two closets.
exactly.
Excellent.
He made space. Unlike Matthew, he made
Mm-hmm.
a lot of space for his bride to be or fiance to be, I guess. He's thought about her with space, with decor, with planning the shopping trips in the future. All positive. I'm liking this part. However, when he decides to make Pattiya a meal, the talking about 50 grams of that and 150 grams of this and no spices horrified me. And I can't imagine what it did to you. I think you would have been running screaming from the house at that moment. No?
Well, I used to do that when I was competing. I used to weigh everything out, everything. I had all of my macros completely broken down. I was very regimented in it. Though I don't understand his lack of use of spice because when you're eating such bland foods, you really need to be able to liven it up, especially when you're eating the same things over and over again.
Hmm.
Switch it up with different herbs, different seasonings of some sort. I mean, I guess he's just eating for sustenance and not because he enjoys it. And oh my
Well,
god, did you see how he overcooked that salmon? And he butchered it in the pan to see if it was done? Sir, that is no, no, no. I'm so
okay.
hungry.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
him pushing for
Mhm.
her to eat the exact same thing, I think is just so wrong. It's one thing to share a meal that you're making just so you can make extra, but to force her to eat your regimented diet when her preferences are completely different.
I don't think he's forcing her to. I think that he's just saying, if you're going to cook, I want you to cook the way that I'm cooking now, because otherwise I'm not going to eat it. Like that's, and then him saying to her at the very end, I just want to be able to tell you what to cook and have you make it for me was, oh,
Okay.
I'm your robot. I'm your robot chef. What is this? In relation to the diet thing, like when you were talking about doing that kind of thing for your training, yes, you were training, you were getting ready for competitions and whatever. This guy is not, as far as I'm aware, getting ready for competitions. He's a plumber and a strip dancer type thing.
No,
He's a
he is definitely a stripper. Definitely a
strip
stripper.
pole distributor. Yes. I don't know. They have is it exotic dancer? Is that the right terminology?
Sure, we'll go with that
So he's just doing this diet thing for himself to feel good about himself.
because he's vain.
But she does not need to eat that way.
Nope.
And I feel like he is trying to control her food to match his or have her embrace it so fully that she'll make all of his. I don't know. I think Petit is completely right. He needs to compromise. He needs to lighten up because now he's got somebody in his life who's going to need a different kind of diet. She's not getting ready for whatever he thinks he's getting ready for physically. And so he needs to relax and stop being so rigid about the food rules. It would drive me so crazy to live with somebody like that.
Oh, yeah,
I would
definitely. No.
lose my shite
Yeah,
completely.
he's not preparing for anything. He's just maintaining his current standard of his physique. I did not appreciate the way that he was trying to push it on her and then expecting her to cook that way as well was just so strange. And the dude does have spices. What's the excuse?
I don't know. I don't understand why he would think that adding spices is wrong. I don't understand anything about this guy. I
And
really
where's
don't.
the
And
salad?
that's what you got from this episode. Where's the salad?
Well, when you think about herbs and stuff, they have different health benefits as well. So he's talking about his micronutrients, but you can also get those from different herbs. So no,
No.
nothing. No, okay,
Yeah,
just
I
plain
don't.
salmon, plain rice, and plain asparagus with no salt because water retention, I guess.
Can we talk about the mother who comes over somewhat unexpectedly and last minutely the next morning with Pattiya still in her jams when she finds out and not having even had breakfast yet? Okay. So now we're presented with these two women who we've heard about, but we haven't seen the mother yet. We've heard that Dylan is too close to his mom. That was the problem that Pattiya identified a week or two ago, right?
Yes,
Dylan identifies that the two women basically hate each other. That's what he says. So
great
that's a
start.
different perspective.
Hmm.
And then we hear from the mom who says that Pattiya is jealous of her relationship with her son. And so that's why there's tension. And it's all on Pattiya's side. It's all because of her jealousy. And the mom is totally fine with her. Yet a third perspective. What?
And then we find out that, he overshares with her. And
Mhm.
I thought it was quite bold of Joe to bring up Patia's finances in front of her. That
Yeah.
is not something that you need to comment on. That is information that you just store in the back of your head if you store it at all. Again, uncomfortable.
But the way that she betrayed that knowledge to Pattiya with that snarky little comment,
Mhm.
I think said a whole lot more than anything else. Because
Yes.
if we've got these three different outlooks on what the problem is between Pattiya and the mother, and yet we see the mom acting this way the very first day, and they're doing all the pretend kiss, kiss, love, thank you stuff, which was also pretty grating to watch. When you hear Dylan's mom make this comment towards Pattiya, I was just like, oh shit.
Here
Because
we go.
not only does it betray that the mom knows something personal about Pattiya that she had perhaps confided to Dylan and did not want to share with anybody else, but it also conveys to Pattiya that mom has a judgment about your spending habits.
Yes. Yeah, judgy. Thank you. Oh, that word just didn't even come to my brain when I was watching it. But yes, that's exactly what it felt like. That's exactly what it was. Oh no,
So
but I've gotten better. So now she's on the defensive.
yeah, it's a horrible start. So this part of Dylan and Patia's segment gave me a not happy feeling.
Yes. And then after Joe left, the mom left, he continues to talk about her finances. You were complaining that, you couldn't pay rent and then you went on this big shopping spree and that was like a week ago. So he claims and yet What? And if she's that bad with her spending, why are you still together? If it's a concern, why are you still together?
Because she keeps saying that she's working on it and she's getting better, even though it's only been a week. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's read on.
Okay.
We finally get to go back to Greta and Matthew after what feels like much too long.
It does feel like a long time. I was very happy to see her face pop up on my screen, though when they had that first, when they have that little video thing of,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
leading
The
into it
intro.
and they were
Mhm.
that when they were sitting so far apart, I'm like, "Oh god, Matthew, what did you do?"
Mhm. Yep. More conflict. And this is over what should be a happy time for them. They're actually house hunting, looking for the place that they will rent to be on their own, away from Matthew's parents. The piece of information that was missing right off the bat for me was how long have they been with Matthew's parents so far? Anyone?
Nope.
Months?
Yeah,
Weeks?
I
Days?
miss
Hours?
I miss the days when they would put, I mean, I guess it was for the actual 90-day show, but when they did that countdown.
Oh, like the 89 days to wed.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Can't it just be like, with partner for such and such amount of time? Like,
that
why
would
aren't
be
they
helpful.
quantifying it?
Yeah.
And
I'd
also,
like to know.
why is the first place that they see massive?
Yes. So let's talk about it. There's all kinds of weird things going on here. And one of the most obvious is the size of the house. Why is he looking at a 3-bedroom house when he could be obviously looking at a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom apartment so that he has an office or she has an office? Do you have any thoughts on why that was?
No, I have no idea. And okay, first of all, has he thought about a budget? Did he just, create a budget and he's like, okay, this is how much I can afford per month. So let's go look at
Mhm.
this place without considering that he's going to have to also furnish it?
Yeah. So all of that is very valid. And I would like to add that in light of this place being a huge house, and the obvious question from that is how much does it actually cost? Can he afford it? I thought this is definitely the kind of budget for somebody who if somebody can afford this house, for somebody's partner to be having weekly massages.
Oh, yeah.
Because remember how stingy he became when she mentioned that she would like to keep her tradition of having a massage every week? And he's like, no, 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 we can't afford that. And yet you're showing her a 3-bedroom house?
Definitely not frugal. But again, I think that this also highlights how selfish he is. He did nothing to prepare, no space for her. He's not taking her comfort or her requests into consideration. She said, really the only thing that I want is somewhere that's walkable, which I think is completely reasonable. And the first place that they go to, sure, it takes 5 minutes to drive to the city center, but how long does it take to walk to it?
Yeah, that throwaway comment that he made about how it doesn't make a difference if you live in a small remote village or even field, as long as you both as long as you both have 2 cars. I was like, "But wait a second. You guys don't have a 2-car budget. What is this? What how are we getting such contradictory information about how he can't afford and now he can afford, but it's a really big house, but no massages, but 2 cars, but
And
what?
2 kids.
And 2 kids, yeah.
Where is
Okay,
this
so
money coming from? Has he all of a sudden established a lovely nest egg that now he can start splurging so that they can create their own lives together? And I mean, clearly it's only been, I'm going to say, a couple weeks, if that.
Mhm.
Why couldn't he have done this before? I mean, I can understand, looking at apartments and just waiting for her to get there and then they look together so that they can find somewhere that they both like. But his approach is just so incredibly selfish and short-sighted.
Especially when you think about, well, if it's that easy for him to get an appointment and go see a place, and yet he wasn't doing it before, which necessitated her having to leave her cat behind, which broke her heart.
Mhm.
Are you really doing any of this for both of you, or it's just all for you? His
Yeah.
selfishness is very, very front and center. But I will say that the awkward moment in the kid's bedroom where he was talking about twin beds and she was like, "Oh shit, I haven't told him that I don't want kids," made me think, "Oh, Greta, so the communication is on both sides."
Yeah. The
if you haven't
failure to communicate.
yeah, talking about this most important subject in a relationship, you haven't discussed this or you have and now your mind has changed. I wasn't sure.
Why is this not an ongoing discussion? When you're trying to, plan your life together, oh yeah, kids. Or did they
Yep.
just talk about it once and then never again? And my comment was perhaps you need to talk about whether or not you're going to have kids. Oh, and one more thing, going back to the apartment hunting, you know, maybe he wanted to get her opinion, but couldn't he have just FaceTimed her? Be like, look at
Yeah.
this place.
Yeah.
There's so many different things that he could have done and didn't do.
I know. He did not. So this worries me.
I wonder why she hasn't brought up the thing about the kids. Is this one of his non-negotiables?
Maybe.
Is she not confident in her decision?
Perhaps. But we just have to wait and find out.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to care about what she wants in any capacity. Again, with the bulldozing of the partner. Same thing with Manon and Anthony. You just do everything that I want because that's what I want to do.
But at least Greta recognizes it in this episode. She does call it out to herself, not to him, I think. That'll be step 2, but at least she sees it.
Well, I would think that it would be so uncomfortable for her, with the lack of uh, feeling welcomed as soon as she gets there. Does she
Mhm.
actually feel comfortable talking to him about these things? Like, what's the reason why they're not talking about these things?
Great
That's
questions.
concerning.
It
Very
is.
concern and from a lawyer.
Yeah, she is. I forgot for a moment. She's a lawyer.
Well, she graduated law school. I don't think she wrote the bar. Either way, she has a law degree. She knows how to communicate. She knows how to identify issues. And she's identified it, but how are you going to communicate it? How are you going to resolve it if you're going to resolve it? And also, what kind of communication are you going to have with his parents 3 feet down the hall who are going to be able to hear everything? I can see that that would be very uncomfortable and a reason why she doesn't want to bring it up. Bring it up in the car.
Yeah, go for a walk.
Go for a drive because apparently he doesn't care.
And apparently they each have a car because that's so easy to afford when only one of you is working. I think that'll do it for this week.
Yes.
Okay. Before we go, if you're enjoying the 90 Day Fiancé Honestly podcast, please subscribe to or give our show a follow. If you have an additional moment, please rate us and help other 90 Day fans to find our show. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone.
See you next week.